Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
But tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket or you're just happy to see me?
So, hello everybody. Welcome to another Down and Nerdy, the solo stream I do on my live channel. I'm trying to change the layout, and it's not letting me. Good job. Good job. Anyway, I hate StreamYard sometimes. But anyway, so thank you all. Early afternoon stream. I try to do this stream early afternoon. That way it gives me a little bit of time to take my dog out and then jump onto Twitch for about a couple hours or so. So I have Friday evenings free to pretty much relax. So I'm taking advantage of being able to do that. So, well, there's a bit of cringe and pop culture news to talk about. Unfortunately, they seem to go hand in hand more often than not nowadays, pretty much. So, unfortunately, I couldn't really find anything positive to talk about. I do try, but for the most part, you either find someone either the topic itself is cringe or the article itself, the narrative or anything, is the cringe part, particularly when it comes to Lethal Weapon 5. Sorry, I almost lost my train of thought there, because I'll be covering a Screamer article that I shared on Twitter, pretty much, where it's basically saying that Lethal Weapon 5, there's going to be a big issue, and the big issue is pretty much the lead actor and director. And who's that lead actor and director? Mel Gibson. They're dredging that shit up again, pretty much, because Lethal Weapon 5 is in the news. It's been in the news. We haven't heard anything really definite about it, but it is happening. Essentially, it is happening. But Screen Rant is trying to spin it there, basically to set up the whole narrative, the whole bullshit surrounding Mel Gibson, pretty much. Now, I'm not defending what he said exactly, because this was years ago. But at the same time, they call him all sorts of names. They lie through their teeth about the scenarios and not take into account the context, all the shit that he was going through at the time. This is the side of the political spectrum that's all about, oh, let's not judge, let's forgive. They're saying they're sorry, unless you have the wrong political letter in front of your name or after your name, pretty much. If you have an R instead of a D, if you at all lean conservative, which in these fucking wackos' minds is anything to the right of far left sometimes, they're all about holding the longest fucking ever grudges ever. They're the biggest hypocrites. Biggest fucking hypocrites, but they're still trying to spin that. And then I have an article on CBR, which, Trey, I don't know whether to thank you or cry for sharing on Twitter, basically about the D&D movie Honor Among Thieves, and how the Dungeons & Dragons movie is intentionally emasculating its leading men. Not for wokeness or anything like that, pretty much, but intentionally emasculating the leading men. And we'll go into that article in a little bit. And then third article I have is from TheGamer. They are the site that keeps on giving, pretty much. So the STD you can't get rid of. And the article I found is Call of Duty, because I'll be playing Call of Duty, so I figure I might as well talk about this article, can never move beyond glorifying the U.S. military. And here's the subheadline, all right? Unwilling to truly reckon with the evils of war, Call of Duty will never be more than a propaganda-laden shooter. Yep, that is the title. That is the title. I think we're going to cover that one a little bit last. We'll go into the CBR one first, but before I go into these articles, I'm going to say hello to the chat. And like I said, Trey, I don't know whether to laugh, to thank you, or to cry for the article you tagged both Stig and myself in, but thank you for being here. Grave, what's up? Good to see you. Sultan Al-Fahim, thank you. Good to see you. Good to see you too again, Quiet Robot. It does, but I have to be able to dual stream on Rumble. I have to reach 100, and I gotta check, see how many I even have. I haven't really been keeping up with it recently. I have 76 followers. I need 24 more. Then I can dual stream and get basically monetization over there as well. But it does. But I can't stream or dual stream until I get 100 followers. It was good. There are some things about it that was like, could have taken out, or just like dialed it back just a little bit. But for the most part, I very much enjoyed it, primarily because it knew what it was and didn't try to be anything other than what it was, which is what I appreciated. Objectively, it's about like a 6.5, maybe even a 7 out of 10, just for the violence, basically the violent scenes. So objectively, it's not a movie I would say break your neck to go and see in theaters. But subjectively, I loved it for, like I said, because it just knew what it was. It knows what it is. It doesn't try to be anything other than that. And Ray Liotta steals the scenes that he's in. The actor Alden Ehrenreich, who played the young Han Solo in the Solo movie, pretty much, the movie that most people like to forget, he was actually decent in the film. I'm like, okay, if he's actually given good direction, maybe he could prove to be a good actor. But we'll see. But like I said, I did enjoy it. Ice Cube's son. I see your commentary. It's like what's his first name? Oh, he's a junior, basically. Ice Cube's real name, O'Shea Jackson, Jr. He was also good. He was decent. I mean, like, not exactly great, but he was decent. He and Alden Ehrenreich had decent chemistry. So I would have liked to see more of a focus on that, and not the mom looking for her daughter and the daughter's friend. Like, I didn't mind that part, but kind of swan dives into the super mom territory, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Mom, like, the bear is a mama bear, and this one right here, like, she's a mama bear too. But I'm like, same, like, kind of could have done without that. That's just my take on pretty much the movie, and the trailer speaks for itself. I'm not going to spoil anything. You can tell from the trailer what the movie is about, and it's actually based on a true story, incredibly embellished for the movie, but that's to be expected. I'm not saying that to hold it against it. I'm saying that it's like nowhere near the truth in the film, but not complaining. Still bitching about Mel? Yes. Mel Gibson, he sounds familiar. Well, just wait. Mel Gibson and Hot Seat and Force of Nature were both really good. And by giving, you mean crabs, and yes, by all means giving. Yes, pretty much. Hey, Dead Punk. Yeah, it's just war from a soldier's point of view. Well, just about. It's a first-person shooter. It's pretty much all it is. I mean, there's the military aspect, but for the most part, the focus is just being a first-person shooter. For the multiplayer, at the very least. Making a TV show called Florida Man. God, I tuned that just for the memes and the yeah. See it at a matinee price, pretty much. It's like that's a little bit more bear, a little bit less mom. I get the juxtaposition. Yeah, the kids were not that good, but I get the juxtaposition. But it could have done without the mama bear scenarios, pretty much. At least in terms of, like, the human mama bear versus the actual cocaine mama bear. So. Well, we'll get into the article. And I love the soundtrack too, because it takes place in the 80s. So you got a good soundtrack there as well. When I say, like, he's not great in the movie, but like I said, I would have liked to have seen more scenes, like develop like more scenes between him and Ice Cube's son. Focus more on that and less on the supermom angle. Also, I want to say should focus more on the park ranger. I liked her character for the most part. Could have taken the mama out, focus more on Alden Ehrenreich and Ice Cube's son, like their interactions, pretty much to include like these teenage punks, but like not going to go into details. Then the park ranger aspect, things like that. Like those should have been the focuses in this movie. On top of the uber violence from the cocaine bear aspect. Yeah, I like Ghost as a character too. But anyway, All right, so we're going to go into the D&D article first, then the Lethal Weapon 5 one. I'm just going to go left to right, and then finally ending on the Call of Duty article, because the gamer just proves once and again that do they even hire people that understand games? I just have to question that, because I'm looking at like half the articles I cover, like on Cringe Factory on this, tend to be from the gamer. I'm like, do you even bother knowing anything about what you're writing? You're called the gamer. You're called the gamer. But anyway, so here's the CBR article. Let me just zoom in. Yeah. All right. I don't know if I would say she should have been the main character, but she should have been on par with, like, say, Ray Liotta's character. Like, the focus should have been her and, like, those, like, close to her, whatever, like that, the guy that's, I'm not even sure what his title was. The guy that she was expecting, like, he's, like, not exactly a major character, but like her with him and, like, the teenagers in the park, like that aspect, and then the second focus should have been Ray Liotta and Alden Ehrenreich and Ice Cube's son, like just that juxtaposition right there. So, well, it's a national park. I assumed it was a national park, so he wouldn't own it, but he was like all about taking care of the animals. So I was like, I don't know what his title was. But anyway, here it is. Dungeons & Dragons movie. The movie Honor Among Thieves is supposed to be actually released on Netflix this month. And I'm not even planning to sail the high seas for this shit, because it's based on the 5th edition D&D. So I don't touch that shit with the 10-foot pole, or longer, but here it is. Intentionally emasculates its leading men. Right? The Dungeons & Dragons movie's writing team revealed they intentionally emasculated the leading men in the film and put the women on the front lines. And they're claiming they're doing this not for wokeness, but for fun. So how do you guys think it would go if, like, say, the roles were reversed, essentially, and it was like basically they were making all the leading women Karens for fun? How well do you think that would go over with people? No, we're making all the leading women damsels in distress for fun. Good question. If it's going to emasculate its leading man, no matter the reason, then why should anyone waste time and money on it? I mean, yeah, true. That could be said for most movies now, but like here, like they're actually outright coming out and admitting it. So here it is. So Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves writing team John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein revealed they intentionally emasculated the film's leading men, though not for wokeness, unquotes. While speaking with Variety, Daly and Goldstein discussed how Michelle Rodriguez's Holga the Barbarian and Sophia Lilly's Doric the Druid tend to engage in the front lines of battle compared to their male party members. That was not an attempt at wokeness on our part, Goldstein said. Daly elaborated, saying, "Swear to God it wasn't. We like that Holga is the bruiser that does the dirty work for Edgin, and he doesn't like to get his hands dirty. We also love emasculating leading men." Not helping your case there. Again, it doesn't fucking matter if it's for wokeness or not. You shouldn't be emasculating or defeminizing any character. Yeah, so wokeness, pretty much. It's pretty much like, Dort, again, it's based on 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, the edition that I refuse to touch. I stop at edition 3.5. All right? Okay? Now, I don't care. Like, the Barbarian, all right, is a female. I'm playing Conan D&D. Okay? Conan D&D, which is basically, set in the Conan world with D&D rules, essentially. And Allura, all right, Allura, you know her as OG Star Wars. Her character's a barbarian. All right, I don't it's not that fact. I'm not complaining about any I'm not complaining about the fact that the one leading male played by Chris Pine is a bard. I get it. I don't fucking care about the titles or anything like that. It's the fact that they're coming out and just saying we love emasculating leading men. Well, what if someone came out and said we love making leading women Karens? We love making leading women damsels in distress. We love making leading women only housewives for our films. How well do you think that would go over? All right, with a certain demographic. No, Edgin is a bard. I'm assuming that's Chris Pine's character because it says does the dirty work for Edgin, and he doesn't like to get his hands dirty. I assume that's Chris Pine's character, the bard. Think about it. You're spending someone else's money to intentionally emasculate male characters in a business that relies on making money just for fun. Yeah. Red Sonja, we like. Yeah. All right. The D&D movies' male heroes aren't always heroic. After reiterating that the reasons did not pertain to woke thinking, the pair explained that they wrote the men that way because they find it funny and fresh, pointing to Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman's character in Date Night, which Daly and Goldstein also wrote. They also aim to do something similar with Tom Holland's Peter Parker and Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark in Spider-Man Homecoming. Well, that explains a lot of fucking shit, doesn't it? We like our male heroes to be challenged and not simply heroic. You can be fucking both. All right? You can be both. Because heroism, bravery, is not the absence of fear, but going forward in spite of it. That's what heroism is. It's not the absence of fear. It's doing the right thing in spite of whatever fear you feel. You could have heroes that are challenged, both physically, emotionally, and mentally. Fuck yeah. Trace is Batman. Batman, if you think about it, he is incredibly psychologically fucked up since his parents died, but he's a hero. He's challenged emotionally and mentally. You're saying like they're not mutually exclusive, but these assholes are making them out to be, almost, pretty much. They're not mutually exclusive. And like I said, they aim to do something similar with Tom Holland's Peter Parker and Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark, which that explains a lot of fucking shit that I've seen from the Spider-Man movies. And Date Night, well, that's a comedy. I'm like, okay, fine. Like it does not at all equal D&D. Shit! Oh my god, these men are morons. It's something that the pair found surprisingly difficult to achieve with leading actors in their films. While they did not name names, they noted that they had experiences with a couple of male actors in the past who refused to look weak or vulnerable in a film. I want to know their fucking names, because bra fucking no. If they refuse to look weak or vulnerable, alright? Now, okay, I'm going to preface this with, again, vulnerability, alright, is not necessarily a bad thing, okay? Because humans aren't perfect. But at the same time, if they felt that they were, like this article says, being purposely emasculated, then I want to know their fucking names. I want to know their names. Who refused to do that? I want to know. Who saw what these two assholes were doing and said, I'm noping the fuck out? Challenge to be half blind, have one arm, wooden leg. Yeah. Liam Neeson can be one. Yeah, I don't like. He's not one to let this shit happen. Like, look at the Taken movies. Pretty much. Look at the Taken movies. He could have been one. However, they had the opposite problem with Chris Pine, who plays Edgin the Bard in the movie. Okay, as good looking as Chris Pine is, he's never ever come across as on par with like past leading men, like masculine leading men, like Stallone, right, John Wayne, or anything like that. I'm sorry. As good looking as he is, he's always come across as a pretty effeminate himself. I'm just saying. Henry Cavill could have won. Denzel Washington. I'm saying like there's a number that I could think of, but I want to know their names because they said with a couple of male actors. I want to know. But Chris Pine He's always come across as more effeminate than masculine, in my opinion. I'm sorry. However you feel about them, that's just my opinion. Instead, Pine reportedly enjoyed making himself look as bad as possible, almost to a fault, to the point the team had to remind him he had to look heroic in some scenes. Again, that tells you a lot about Chris Pine. Alright. Honor among Thieves directors want to subvert expectations of non-D&D players. Anytime that phrase is fucking used, I want to hurl something through my window. I'm sick of subverting expectations. Watch 5 Mythica movies instead for a real D&D movie experience, and they were made with a crowdfunding short string. But you know what like amazes me is how much better most fan films are in comparison to big budget shit that the entertainment industry puts out. It shouldn't amaze me, but the fact that it does is sad. And I'm not like saying that at all as if I'm expecting fan films to be utter shit. I'm not. But you look at like what money they have and what versus money the entertainment industry has, it tells you that money is not the issue, it's the passion behind it. Fan films have genuine passion and love for the product that they are making versus the entertainment industry who just sees dollar signs whenever someone buys a ticket. That's it. I don't know, something's supposed to be here, I don't know. But good job, CBR. Regardless of the part each member of the D&D adventuring party plays, actor Hugh Grant, who plays the rogue Forge Fitzwilliam. Okay, I play D&D, and not every name needs to be, spectacular, but fucking Christ. Forge Fitzwilliam? In the film, noted that none of the main characters are particularly good at what they do. I think maybe what I responded to most in their script was that it's about losers. This little band of comrades, they're all a bit crap. You're not great at being a bard, Grant said, and the magician played by Justice is really bad. What do they call magicians in Dungeons & Dragons? Sorcerer. He's not much good. And Michelle Rodriguez's character has been thrown out of whatever, and is still in love with her husband, who is in love with someone else. Wow. Again, that's not the problem I have, because we've seen movies where we're like, again, you want to root for the underdogs. You have the Losers Club in it. All right, the literally calls themselves the Losers Club. All right, they're the underdogs. You typically want to root for the underdog, so I don't have a problem with them not being particularly great at what they do. All right, not being particularly great at what they do because, like I said, humans are not perfect. Even D&D characters are not fucking perfect. But you shouldn't have to, again, emasculate the male leads for shits and giggles. Yeah, the Hellfire Club and Stranger Things. Again, I have no problem with the whole underdog aspect. All right, it's I don't want to say it's a trope, but it is a theme that has been in cinema for decades. All right, it's been a theme that's been in cinema for decades. I have no problem with that, but you should not have to do this shit at all. I don't care if Chris Pine's bard is not exactly talented. Fine, that's at least a comedic aspect of it, but don't emasculate him. Don't emasculate the sorcerer. Don't emasculate the rogue. How Hugh Grant plays a rogue, I have no fucking clue. Don't emasculate the rogue. Or, I'm guessing there's another male character in the movie. I have no idea what the character's name or the actor's name is, but I'm guessing he maybe plays a paladin. Would be my guess. Just based on the armor he wears and like he wields a sword and things like that. And my guess is he's a paladin, but I don't know. Shouldn't have to emasculate the male leads. I don't care if they're claiming for shits and giggles, but everything I'm seeing tells me, no, there's a little bit of wokeness to it. There's a little bit of wokeness to it. It's not funny and fresh. It is not funny and fresh at all. And Chris Pine has been revealed himself to be, again, a cuck in this article based on how he responded to what they wanted from his character. Even bards use weapons and are known for good combat skills plus music. Yes. Yeah. Everyone. Bards can fight. They can fight. They're not relegated to just background characters. They are able to fight. They just have certain skills that other classes don't. Like barbarians are different from rogues, that are different from clerics, that are different from paladins, that are different from druids, and so forth, pretty much. Like each class can fight. But each class has different skills that sets them apart from the others. So you wouldn't exactly send a bard in on the front lines. You'd want your paladins and your barbarians. The bards could be like, the bowmen in the back, essentially, in dealing with any enemies that come through the lines. All right, but they can fight. Just saying, they can fight. Yeah, but the bard was natural with bows. Yeah, I'm saying this. Yeah, the Jeremy Irons D&D movie is looking really good right now. They should really just come out and say it's woke. Would save people a lot of trouble and it would be honest. Yeah. They're at least being honest in this regard. Just come out and say, like, this movie is completely woke. Just come on and say that. I mean, like, at this point, again, I'm not saying the movie definitely is, but given this, chances are it is. Very likely, chances are it is. But there it is, folks. So I don't know if any of you are planning on watching the D&D movie. It is what it is. Like I said, I'm not even planning on sailing the high seas for it. I have a Netflix account, but I don't want to give it clicks on Netflix. I thought the Bard was part of a secret spy society that traded info. I'm saying, like, I'm not sure about the rules for the 4th edition or 5th edition, but like I said, like each class has different skills. So, and those skills translate into like certain actions your characters can take. So, I would say that's more of a rogue than a bard. Like bards could most likely do that, but that's more of a rogue aspect than a bard. So, there it is. So I'm going to close that tab because this is all I can do right now. This is all I can fucking do right now. Oh my god. Anyway, let's talk about Lethal Weapon 5 because a movie that we should at the very least be cautiously optimistic for, which is what I am. They're dredging up shit that happened decades ago. Literal decades ago. Because they're bringing up Mel Gibson and how he's a problem. He's the problem. The main problem with Lethal Weapon 5. He is the biggest challenge. I shit you not, from Screen Rant. I shared it on Twitter. I'm going to go on to this article because they are saying he is the biggest challenge. They're dredging up all the old shit. Right? Yeah, Danny Glover forgave him. Jesus Christ, move on, people. But here it is. Why is it like that? StreamYards. Fucking Christ. Anyway. So the biggest challenge preventing the success of Lethal Weapon 5, the finale of the buddy cop franchise, is also its biggest star and director because Mel Gibson has taken over directing the 5th and what looks like final Lethal Weapon. Well, he's not that old. He's not 80. Here it is, all right? Look at this. Look at this. This even has a content warning to it. This article discusses anti-Semitism, racism, sexism, domestic abuse, and homophobia. I think, like, Corman wanted to do it, but passed away before he was able to do so. And it was just, Mel Gibson just taking over. Well, like, again, it's like that's why I'm cautiously optimistic, just because I generally trust Mel Gibson when it comes to directing movies, like things like that. It doesn't need to happen, but the fact that it's happening, it's like we can't exactly stop it, so we might as well I'm just watching any news that comes out, and we'll see. We'll see. Again, I'm not like saying like it should happen, but it is happening. It is happening. So, yeah. So, Danny Glover 76, Mel Gibson 67. The biggest problem for Lethal Weapon 5 is unfortunately its most famous actor. The first Lethal Weapon movie was the debut of screenwriter Shane Black, who would go on to write and direct films such as Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Iron Man 3, which is utter shit. But moving on, starring Mel Gibson and Danny Glover as a pair of mismatched cops investigating a murderous conspiracy linked to an illegal drug smuggling ring, Lethal Weapon opened in March 1987 and became a massive hit, grossing over $120 million worldwide. This level of success meant that a sequel was inevitable. Lethal Weapon 2 was released 2 years later and made over $100 million more than the first movie, cementing the franchise's status. And for the Lethal Weapon franchise, there really is no bad movie in that franchise. It's one of the few franchises where you can enjoy, for the most part, each one. Yeah, why did I say Richard Corman? Richard Donner. Right? Originally was going to direct. Yeah, he was originally going to direct them. This is going to be like a send off, I think. And he passed away before it was either before or shortly after it was officially greenlit. So Mel Gibson stepped in to take over. I'm saying cautiously optimistic. I don't know. We'll see what they do. There are some things that I'm hearing through the grapevine that I'm not exactly thrilled about, but they're not definite. They're just rumors right now, so we'll see. Okay, so 2 more sequels followed in the 1990s, though they failed to match the successes of the first 2 Lethal Weapon films. The keys to the franchise's success were its comedic tone, even if the first Lethal Weapon movie is surprisingly dark. Not surprisingly dark. And its 2 co-stars. Danny Glover's cynical Roger Murtaugh contrasts perfectly with Mel Gibson's wild and wacky performance as the loose cannon cop Martin Riggs. However, Gibson's controversial public image presents a big problem for the last film in the franchise, Lethal Weapon 5, which he will both star in and direct. Okay. Where's his controversial public image? Like I said, this is the demographic. This is the political side that's all about not judging a group, not judging a person or anything like that. They like to claim they hold the moral high ground. They're the halo polishers of the political spectrum, pretty much. They know best and everything. They're the biggest fucking hypocrites out there. They will hold a grudge longer than never ending, pretty much. If you're canceled for any reason, you're pretty much dead to them. No matter what you do, no matter how many times you say you're sorry, in which case, more often than not, you should not say you're sorry to these people, because that's blood in the water, and they will hold it over you for forever, pretty much. I wish I was fucking joking with these people, but they will hold a grudge forever. And they will dredge up people's past. Alright? If God fucking forbid they have the wrong political letter before or after their name, like an R instead of a D, or anything like that, or God fucking forbid they lean in any way at all into conservative values. If Mel Gibson had a D, he was definite Democrat. If he was leftist in his views, then they would it's in the past, don't bring it up. He said he's sorry. No, he's not, because I don't know his political views or anything like that, and I really don't care to learn his political views because I want to be entertained, not preached to. But he has demonstrated that he leans conservative. All right. Not saying he's a Republican or anything. I'm just saying he leans conservative in how he presents himself, his ideals, his attitudes, and so forth. And because of that, they're dredging up all this fucking shit and holding it against him. Yeah, like, hold on. It was almost 20 years ago. Yep. Becoming public enemy number one. Yeah. Yeah, Roman Polanski is just fucking fine. Alright? He raped an underage girl and fled to a country that has no extradition treaty with the United States. And they still applaud him in Hollywood. That's fucking fine. But again, they take the scenario with what Mel Gibson said and everything. I'm not defending what he said, but they remove it from the context of the situation he was in. All right, again, not defending it like entirely, but again, I look at the context. I look at the fact that the woman, his baby mama, she was a piece of fucking work herself. All right, and he was medication, drugs, alcohol, pretty much. All right. So it's not like he was saying this soberly or anything like that. He had a lot of shit in his system. All right. Hey, Wicked. Yeah, they're still pissed over Passion of the Christ, pretty much. Hell, yeah, Ezra Miller running around breaking into houses and choking women. And did you see what he got off on? Harvey Weinstein. And the recording was illegal. But they're still holding the shit over him. Hell, I got blocked by some bitch on Twitter. Alright? Okay. I love Aussies. I want to go to Australia very much one day. But she was an Aussie chick who still holds it against Mel Gibson. And I was correcting her. Like, no, this is actually, if you actually look at what happened, this is the case. Even Rosetta was like, kind of joining the conversation. Like, the conversation on Twitter. It's like, this is like all the crap that went down, things like that. It's like if you actually put it into perspective, this is the entire scenario. So he's not entirely at fault. He is a little bit to blame, but he's not entirely at fault. This woman would hear none of it. Would hear fucking none of it, and she blocked me on Twitter. She spoke for every fucking Australian in the country, pretty much. So why he might doom Lethal Weapon 5? Mel Gibson's presence in Lethal Weapon 5 could be a big issue for audiences. No, the big issue for most audiences is like, those in the chat are like, why is there even a Lethal Weapon 5 happening? That's the issue most people are like wondering. Like, how are they going to do this? Why even do this? It's not the fact that Mel Gibson's in it. That is if anything, that's one of the biggest fucking selling points, is the fact that he's not only acting in it, but directing it. That's one of the biggest selling points. But they're trying to spin this if that's an issue for the entirety of the audience. Gibson has faced multiple controversies concerning anti-Semitism, racism, domestic abuse, and homophobia. For example, the actor, upon being arrested in 2006 for DUI, that's the key there, he was fucking under the influence. Alright? He was not in his right mind. At fucking all. Again, I can't beat this dead horse enough. I'm not defending everything he said, but at the same time, if you put it into perspective, alright? He's not entirely to blame. I'm pretty sure if he had been pulled over and if he was sober, this shit wouldn't have happened. Alright? But he was dealing with this shit here because she was a piece of fucking work. Alright? People kind of ignore the shit that she pulled on him. Alright? They kind of ignore the shit that she pulled on him because it's believe all women. It's hashtag believe all women. Alright? And they just focus on this, which was illegal. Alright? Later that year, Beetlejuice actress Winona Ryder, who is like, is she on something? Seriously? I mean, she's decent in Stranger Things as the mom, but like, look at her at that awards ceremony, and she was like just doing this. What, like really, she's your go-to? She's your fucking go-to? First, Hollywood canceled silent star Fatty Arbuckle, accused of murder, never convicted, blacklisted from Hollywood, and never made a comeback, though he really tried. Yeah. This shit's been going on for decades. But Winona Ryder is like your proof. She's your proof? She's fucking nuts. And say you don't like Mel Gibson and move on. spoke about an incident where Gibson allegedly made further anti-Semitic comments towards her, as well as a homophobic joke against her friend. See, the key word there is allegedly, because this is her word against his, alright? This is her word against his. Proof, bitch. Put up or shut up. They never get the proof. Yeah, she stole jewelry from a store. They kind of conveniently forget that. She's been fucking nuts for decades. So Gibson's film, The Passion of the Christ, has also been accused of anti-Semitism due to its villainous depictions of Jewish characters surrounding Jesus' crucifixion. It's literally in the fucking Bible, so you might as well accuse the Bible of anti-Semitism. It's literally in the fucking Bible. It's the events in the Bible. So, fuck. Accuse the Gospels. Accuse all fucking 4 of them of being anti-Semitic. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Accuse them of being anti-Semitic. And there's even, now again, not really proof about the, not getting religious and not denying Jesus Christ or anything, but there's even proof in Roman writings talking about this situation. It's in Roman history as well. Yeah, they did. They did. They crucified him. It's not anti-Semitic. It's history. It's history. Can't even spell anti-Semitic word Bible. Yeah. It's okay to call fans Yahtzees, pretty much. All right. Nevertheless, despite Gibson's repeated controversies, he was able to somewhat resurrect his career in 2016 with the WW2 drama Hacksaw Ridge. I recommend watching that. The film was nominated for several Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Director for Gibson. Since then, however, Gibson has largely appeared in low-budget movies. So fucking what? It's his choice, really. I think he's more than proven himself to be in both an actor and a director. That he can pretty much pick and choose the projects he takes on. So who the fuck cares? Consequently, Gibson's continued controversies may mean that audiences will be completely turned off from Lethal Weapon 5. Okay, where's this mythical audiences that'll be turned off from Lethal Weapon 5? Where's this mythical audience that will be turned off? I would say, where is this audience that will be turned off of Lethal Weapon 5 because of Mel Gibson? I'll clarify that. Lethal Weapon 5's only chance is cheap nostalgia. Okay? Nostalgia in itself is not a bad thing. It is not a bad thing because if you have a continuation in a franchise, you do have some nostalgic moments in it. Case in point, Ghostbusters Afterlife. A lot, not a lot of nostalgia, but a good amount of nostalgia because it's a continuation from the first 2 films. Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2 from the mid to late 80s. All right? Those 2 films. We ignore the shit that's 2016. All right, but it didn't bank entirely on the nostalgia, but it couldn't exactly be made without the nostalgia. So the nostalgia in itself is not a bad thing. Another one I see Trey mentioning, Top Gun Maverick. There's nostalgic moments in it. Nostalgia in itself is not a bad thing. It's when you completely bank on nostalgia and member berries for whatever product you're pushing, whether it's a movie or a TV series, then it becomes a problem because you're telling the audience that your work cannot stand on its own without standing on the back of whatever came before it. All right? Cobra Kai. Say what you will about Cobra Kai, but Cobra Kai also has nostalgia in it because it's a continuation of sorts from the first Karate Kid movie. All right? There is some nostalgia, but it was able to hold itself on its own without relying too heavily on what came before it. So, it couldn't be there without what came before it, but at the same time, it was able to build up new characters and stand on its own away from the Karate Kid films. Do they call it cheap nostalgia? What's your name? Jack Carter? The only hope for success that Lethal Weapon 5 has due to the presence of Mel Gibson is simply nostalgia for the once great Lethal Weapon franchise. Despite 2022 being Gibson's most prolific year as an actor, most of the films that he appeared in did not see a major release. Again, who the fuck cares? Many audiences have turned sour on the actor due to his continued controversy. What continued controversies? You keep dredging up shit that happened almost 2 decades ago. What continued controversies? You're the ones dredging up all this shit. You're the ones calling him anti-Semitic, racist, sexist, and homophobic, and what have you. You're the ones dredging up that shit. Most audiences, I'm like willing to bet most, either they still support him, all right, because they read the context of everything that was going on in that situation, all right, still support him, don't fucking care about any of this shit. They just like Mel Gibson as an actor and a director, all right, and they most have moved on. It's you little fucking pansies that still have your panties in a twist. And maybe if you unbunch them, you wouldn't be walking around like you're a fucking Plank from Ed, Edd and Eddy. And Plank has more of a personality than you fuckheads ever will. Right? And comments, meaning that Lethal Weapon 5 could struggle to reach wide appeal beyond uncritical fans of the franchise. Most comments I've seen from Mel have either been, I mean, I know this word gets thrown around a lot, based or practical. And they're his thoughts. Move the fuck on. Mel Gibson's behavior therefore presents a major problem for Lethal Weapon 5, especially due to its increased presence in the film as a director and a co-star. There it is, folks. They just want to dredge this shit up. They're the ones that keep bringing it up. So, shit that happened nearly 2 decades ago. All right, and I'm talking about before 2010, things like that. Like there's like cheap nostalgia, kind of like Star Wars sequels. Yeah, that's the actual cheap nostalgia. Is when it relies heavily on the member berries because it can't stand on its own. That's where it becomes cheap nostalgia. Nostalgia in itself is on the surface, it's fine. Yeah, and if it's shit, we'll say it's shit. If it's good, we'll say it's good. But it's not going to be because Mel Gibson is in it. It's not going to automatically be good because he's acting and directing it. It's not automatically going to be shit because he's acting and directing in it. We're going to judge the movie as it is. But for the most part, when it comes to Mel Gibson, most people even either still love him or don't fucking care about all the shit that happened almost 2 decades ago, or almost a long time ago. All right, they're the ones that keep dredging this shit up. We've moved on. We've moved the fuck on. There it is. All right, so last but not least, since I am going to be playing Call of Duty shortly after I end this stream, is TheGamer. The gift that keeps on giving, folks. The gift that keeps on giving. Because here it is. Yeah. All right. Call of Duty can never move beyond glorifying the U.S. military. Unwilling to truly reckon with the evils of war, Call of Duty will never be more than a propaganda-laden shooter. No, it's not, Stacy. It's Tessa Cower. So, unwilling to truly reckon with the evils of war, Call of Duty will never be more than a propaganda-laden shooter. All right? Yes, there is a campaign. There are campaigns within Call of Duty. All right? I wouldn't say they're glorifying war. All right? No Russian anyone. Not exactly glorifying war, but showing the reality of shit that happens. But then most people actually, to be quite honest, those who play COD probably don't really care too much about the camp. Like, when I say don't care, I mean like they'll play the campaigns, whatever. If they're good, they're shit. If they're shit, they'll talk about it. But for the most part, whenever people talk about Call of Duty, first-person shooter. It's just a first-person shooter that just happens to be military themed. All right. But there it is. Oh darn, a military theme game is pro-military. Oh darn. Okay, Triple Frontier is not a very good film, but it has Oscar Isaac and Pedro Pascal in it, so you see I had no choice but to watch it. No, you had a choice. You just let your hoo-ha do the talking. Pretty much. But you had a choice. While watching, it struck me that some scenes look just like a Call of Duty mission. No shit, Sherlock. In one scene, 5 former military men in Kevlar vests wielding rifles sweep a house with cold efficiency, shoot a man dead, and rob him blind, all before his family came home from church. Okay, I have not seen this movie, so I cannot comment on this scene. That sounds like just... That, to me, sounds like a bullshit narrative about the military. And 2, did this bitch at all read about what our military did when they captured Osama bin Laden? Like, literally, with cold efficiency, sweep a house to get him. It's actually a decent movie. Okay, I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on how good of a movie it is. But Triple Frontier. Halo, Battlefield, Medal of Honor, Wolfenstein, yeah. Add a voiceover of a preteen screaming slurs at me over comms, and you have Modern Warfare. Okay, world's smallest violin here, Tessa. I got called the fucking N-word. The big difference between Call of Duty and Triple Frontier is how the latter, like many contemporary war movies, makes at least some attempts to actually reckon with its content. There are some... allergies. Alright. There are some mentions of how veterans are left to fend for themselves, some guilt over their murder of civilian cocaine farmers, and a seeming skepticism, not skepticism, but skepticism, fucking spell, of patriotism. There's some reflection about the harms of the military-industrial complex, with Ben Affleck's character saying, it's like they take your best 20 years and then spit you out, right? I have no real problem with that, alright? I was in the military, so I saw shit that people didn't see. Alright, so I get this aspect of it. And a lot of, the veterans are left to fend for themselves. It even still goes on to this day a little bit. It's not as bad as it was post the Vietnam War, when veterans returning home were, literally spit on by their fellow Americans because they had the audacity to, if they weren't already in the military, enlist in the military and serve their country. Alright? Maybe, just maybe, alright, that shit wouldn't be a problem if, let's say, the government had actually provided for those veterans and America had actually treated them at least with respect and not the outright disrespect that a lot of them faced, especially with them coming home with PTSD and shit like that. Call of Duty doesn't do that. As much as the series claims to be treading into morally gray territory meant to make the player question their actions, it never does. Did this bitch ever play a campaign? Seriously. For example, 2019's Modern Warfare reboot scores you on moral choices, So killing civilians nets you a lower score and fewer rewards. These choices include murdering a woman who is reaching for a baby during a nighttime apartment raid, eerily similar to Zero Dark 30's version of the killing of Osama bin Laden. I need alcohol. Yes. Notice how they forget to mention the part where we as a society took a huge dump on our Vietnam vets. But yeah, like I said, they were actually spit on by fellow Americans. They were actually pushed to the side and ignored and forgotten about when they returned home. There are clear right and wrong choices, good guys and bad guys, but no moral quandary and very little consideration for the consequences that continually killing people could have on someone's psyche, whether that someone is the player or the character you take control of. Okay, first off, the character you take control of, unless you purposely have that as part of the campaign, who the fuck cares? It's a character that the player is playing as. All right? Hey, Cherish. That's why I brought up no Russian. Like, what about no Russian? Right? And two, then whatever happens to someone's psyche, particularly the player, that's on them. All right? That's on them. If they can't handle something like this, then maybe they shouldn't be playing this game. I'm just going to come out and say it. If they can't handle it, then maybe they should not be playing this game. It's that fucking simple. It's not the game's fault at that point. Call of Duty is also a distinctively pro-intervention, as indicated by the many plot lines where American troops are deployed to other countries to intercede in its politics. Crack open a fucking history book, Tessa! 2007's Modern Warfare fictionalizes the real-life invasions of Afghanistan and Iran. Don't you mean Iraq? Gamer, don't you mean Iraq? Afghanistan and Iran? Really? Exactly. Other people brought up Rambo. He had PTSD from the war and was rejected by society when he returned home, when he felt like he should be a war hero. Afghanistan. Okay, first off, real life invasions of Afghanistan and Iran. All right. Okay, it wouldn't be Iraq, because, well, no, it would be Iraq at that point. Yeah. I'm like, when did we invade Iran? Like, this bitch can't even get her fucking facts straight. Because I was in both these countries. I was in both Afghanistan and Iraq. Legitimizing America's continuing imperialism, and in doing so perpetuates false beliefs about the wars depicted. Take Modern Warfare in 2019, for example. In one mission, it is revealed that Russian forces previously attacked an area called the Highway of Death, killing many civilians. In reality, the Highway of Death is a road between Kuwait and Iraq that had been severely damaged by American forces during the Gulf War. Oh no! Oh no! A game with a fictionalized account. Like, if you're taking these Call of Duty games as history, you are fucking retarded, Tessa. You are beyond retarded. Yeah, it's like, you weren't in Iran, Mara? What? Yeah, the one with Iran was Battlefield 3. The writer of this article doesn't even know the difference between the two games. Hey, Steven. I'm like, she has no idea what the fuck she's talking about. She's literally talking out of her ass. She's literally talking out of her ass. She's talking about games that have fictionalized storylines. Right? They're not supposed to be taken as history. They're at its core a first-person shooter. If you want history, crack open a book, Tessa. If you know what that is. You kill enough trees to push shit written by Greta Thunberg, but you can't fucking crack open a history book? I forgot about Jarhead. Yeah, they showed the Highway of Death. But they're not going after Jake Gyllenhaal. In fact, 2019's Modern Warfare takes place in a fictional... You literally just fucking nuked your fucking entire article. A fictional Middle Eastern country. It's not fucking real. That takes heavy inspiration from conflicts and political climates in Syria and Iraq, two countries where the U.S. actively and publicly inserted themselves into unrest. Here's the key word there, you fucking bitch. Fictional. Not historical. Fictional. Yes, it takes historical situations into account for their scenarios, but at its core, it's a fictional first-person shooter game. Of course, in the games, the Americans are the heroes even when they execute poor people extrajudiciously or de-escalate situations by threatening civilians with violence. Call of Duty tries to make heavy allusions to real struggles in real countries while actively distancing itself from the real histories behind those situations. Do you know the real histories, Tessa? Other than Googling on Wikipedia? Do you know the real histories? So I doubt very fucking seriously we went into combat looking like this, fuck it. We didn't know going into combat looking like Ghost. Fuck off, ads. There's a clear reason Call of Duty isn't very interested in making its wars feel as horrific and brutal as they are in reality because it's fucking fiction. If you wanted reality, join the fucking military, bitch. The US military has its hands in the mix. It's an incredibly popular series played by millions of people that both fictionalizes. Fiction is the key word there. It's the key word there. It's like I had to play this clip for this bitch.
Oh, okay? They're talking about fictional characters. Fictional characters. Am I getting through to you at all?
Yeah, they had King Kong and Godzilla. Jesus Christ, they had Snoop Dogg skins. Where was Snoop Dogg during World War II? Fucking hell, they had the T-800 and the T-1000. We would have won the fucking war in a heartbeat if we had those two fuckers back in World War II. And represents the military-industrial complex at its worst extreme, so of course the U.S. military has an interest in how it's represented. Maybe they don't like being shown in a negative light. I'm not saying the U.S. military is perfect. I served it. I served in it. It's not perfect. But maybe they don't want to be seen, as you put it, all right, evils of war as if they are the villains, glorifying the U.S. military, and shit like that, Tessa. The games have military consultants who have actively played a part in perpetuating violence in other countries. You basically called them war criminals here. Thank you, fuckhead. They've gone to military bases to collect information in service of realism, talk to returning soldiers, and believe it or not, the U.S. Army was planning to spend millions of dollars to sponsor esports tournaments and pay Call of Duty streamers so it could grow its audience with the stream's Gen Z, Black, Hispanic, and female viewers. That's cringe. I will say that is a little bit cringe what the U.S. Army is doing. All right. But the U.S. military has held Call of Duty tournaments to raise awareness and funds. Basically, like when the funds raised and so forth went to charity organizations. So they've done that, but we're evil. We're evil. We had Dr. Manhattan single-handedly won Vietnam's in the history books. Everybody knows that, yeah. The military also considered asking streamers to create original content and videos showcasing the wide range of skill sets offered by the Army and throw tournaments including both soldiers and top streamers. It only backed out once reports of sexual harassment at Activision's workplace came out, damaging its brand reputation. Hey, Lindsay, yeah, doesn't portray the horrors of war. Have they seen Farah's flashback from Modern Warfare? No, this writer hasn't, apparently. All right, I'm not going to go into the last 3 paragraphs because we're a little over the hour mark and I have to take my dog out before I jump onto Twitch playing some Call of Duty. But yes, here, right fucking here, write the title. Call of Duty can never move beyond glorifying the U.S. military. A fictionalized first-person shooter game, not history, not historically accurate, all right? Military themes, obviously, because the characters are military-esque figures. Again, not real historical figures, but military figures. Glorifies the U.S. military and unwilling to truly reckon with the evils of war. Even though Lindsay pointed out, Farah has flashbacks. You can't make this shit up, folks. You cannot make this shit up. Yeah, but they also believe Pandora exists and we're mining on it right now. Yeah, and then, again, according to TheGamer, Snoop is historically accurate now because they had a Snoop Dogg skin and Call of Duty Vanguard. Cringiest shit I ever fucking saw, but we had a Snoop Dogg skin and Vanguard. There it is. Yeesh, video games are not to portray real life. We play to get away from that. Yes, and this bitch must think Hogwarts is real. Again, I don't know why my camera's zooming in and out of focus, but I gotta play this clip again because apparently people like Tessa cannot figure this shit out.
Okay, they're talking about fictional characters. Fictional characters. Am I getting through to you at all?
I love this comment. FDR killed Yahtzees with an electric wheelchair with mounted Gatling guns on the side. Sure, why not? Sure, why not? I'm leveling up some more guns. I'm actually working on the Stib, which is the gun I had to level up to get the ammunition for the Hemlock. But I decided to try my hand at leveling that up, and it's actually a pretty decent gun. Pretty decent gun once I added certain attachments to it. So I'm gonna work on getting that to max level. But yeah. Yeah, like she would think Inglourious Bastards is historically accurate. The revenge fantasy film from Quentin Tarantino is like historically accurate. But anyway, thank you all for hanging out with me. Went a little over an hour because, gamer, you are the gift that keeps on giving. You are the STD that won't go away. But I do have to take my dog out. I have to take this time to take my dog out. So that way I can jump onto Twitch hopefully by 1:30. So in about 23 minutes, I can jump onto Twitch and actually play some Call of Duty. So if you are available and you want to hang out in the chat, Trey, I've seen you've been posting links. If you could post my Twitch for people to come hang out, it's Jade_Fire. I appreciate you all if you can come hang out and chill as I shoot and teabag campers in Call of Duty. Pretty sure there's a cream for that. Yeah. Thank you, Quiet Robot. Good. And I will be here. That is my Twitch. Right? So I will see you all in about 20 minutes or so. And I'm actually going to play that Metal Batman 1989 theme again because fuck it. Even though I'm not playing the Batman game, I love that. I love that cover. If you did not have a chance to hang out yesterday, come hang out then. You'll be able to hear it during my starting scene on Twitch. So anyway, thank you all again for hanging out with me. This is Mara Jade. Catch you on the dark side. Hope you have a good rest of your day or evening, depending on where you are in the world. And I will see you all in about 20 minutes over on Twitch. So take care and peace out.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.